Okay, this video is extremely important. Subscribe, share it immediately. This video is about the message that they're sending when it comes to the American flag. I'm somebody who's very educated, who is certainly right. So let's talk about things that you associate with the American flag. Things that I associate as a researcher who's been researching things related to the economy, to social life, to religion for decades. Point number 1, a military flag changing ceremony. Point number 2, the Hamburger Hell statue. Point number 3, police that are often bitter. This is where these kind of subconscious associations come in, and that's the message that they're sending. You'll see what I mean shortly. 4, schools. 5, a kindergarten painting that shows all the different parts of the community coming together in a way that makes things seem like they're not so bad. 6, flags on government buildings. 7, flags in private residences. 8, flags sold in grocery stores. Now this is where it gets interesting. Point number 9, white supremacist insistence and the continuity of said insistence, right? Unreasonable demands. We'll get into that. Point number 10, the flag to me is contrary to the Constitution, as many assholes basically say respect our flag while they say who cares about the Constitution by their actions. Do we have freedom of speech? No. Do people get together to secure it? No. Do people who point to the flag and throw their weight around tend to have more influence than other people? Yes. So what does that tell you? That's part of the hidden and unspoken message and meaning behind the flag and people saying respect the flag while they put out paid provocateurs to attack the flag, to confuse the issue. Point number 11, rednecks in the military and militia. Point number 12, politicians lying about caring about America. Point number 13, rappers being mad at the flag while there are no logical counter-arguments given. I've never heard a logical and coherent argument as to why people should respect the flag. Never. Point number 14, oversimplifying, avoiding arguments, and creating straw men while demanding obedience is also what the flag stands for. They oversimplify issues. They avoid arguments, right? They say, oh, it's just a law. Well, during Hurricane Katrina, when people were looting to feed themselves, people weren't crying about the law then, for the most part. I mean, some racist Republicans were, but most of them weren't, because it was obvious. The law is a kind of arbitrary thing, a superficial thing. And there comes a time when it's logical to break the law. So that argument doesn't hold any weight. When you use proxies to ruin nations, you use your foreign policy to ruin nations, and people come here desperate, okay, and they scramble, and they break the law to get here. Who cares if they break the law? It's a matter of right and wrong. Not legal or illegal. Only a monster sees things in terms of legal or illegal and not in terms of right and wrong. They don't have the humanity. They're not humane. They're not human, really. It's inhuman to look at things strictly in terms of legal and illegal instead of in terms of right and wrong. Point number 15, slave masters and fraternities of old and lynch mobs. Absolutely. When we see that flag, we know that that same old slave master spirit is haunting us now. Even Joe Biden pointed it out. He said that the black community and other people are still haunted by old Confederate spirits, so to speak, in new uniforms. Point number 16. I was paraphrasing, mind you. Point number 16, fake Captain America propaganda. In the midst of all this abuse that's leveled at us from America, right? From Sin City, the rotten apple. You know, every city is like Sin City, and every small town is like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. It's lame, it's boring, and quite often there's a bunch of hate groups that live there. Pretty straightforward. That Captain America propaganda doesn't cut it. America has serious problems, and it needs to change. You don't need to respect its current state. It needs to admit that it's doing the wrong thing, both parties, what have you, and they need to change. Point number 17. Men in black suits come in to stifle dissent and to stop people from having freedom. Kind of like the X-Files, right? It's what comes to mind. You know, there's people who are similar to that in the government who do not respect your rights and who run black ops on people. Pretty straightforward. Okay. Point number 18, psychological operations. Point number 19, the government bringing drugs, especially focusing on black communities. Look at the history of LSD. The CIA on record brought LSD and had the mental health community, spread it into their various cities like Santa Cruz and San Francisco and Los Angeles and all over the country. That was a CIA operation. It was part of their mind control operation. It was part of the greater mind control operation that they were doing at the time. Okay, this is on record. It's not some conspiracy theorist. It's acknowledged. It's like MK Ultra. And MK Ultra wasn't a small group of people. It was the who's who in the mental health community with an emphasis on psychiatrists. That's a story for another day. Point number 20, Iran-Contra. Point number 21, Watergate and other scandals. Point number 22, MK Ultra, which is cult ram scrambled, not a coincidence. Which goes back to the George Washington Baphomet, and that's my point number 30. We'll get there. Point number 23, COINTELPRO. Point number 24, the Native American genocide. Point number 25, slavery. Point number 26, segregation and the abuse of immigrants. Now keep in mind that the Western governing class these days, by its policies, which is what killed Native Americans, right? How they brought smallpox and they put smallpox in the blankets on purpose and it massacred Native Americans. Their policies and their actions and their biological warfare, germ warfare, chemical warfare, what have you, massacres more people today than at any point during early colonialism in America. Okay? There weren't like 40 million plus preventable deaths in the world caused by the global governing class, which is mostly dominated by the West. Okay, 300 years ago, 200 years ago, what have you. 400 years ago. That wasn't the case. So they're actually a worse governing class now. And the flag is more disgraced now than it was in 1776 when they still had slaves and were still mistreating Native Americans. So it's that genocide, that slavery. Point 26, the segregation, the abuse of immigrants. Point number 27, racist presidents. Point number 28, internment camps, like the ones for the Japanese. Point number 29, reform schools, which enforce Western culture in a way that is psychotic. Point number 30, George Washington and the Baphomet statue. Again, it goes back to MK Ultra, which is cult ram scrambled. It's the hidden and unspoken activities of the governing class and their managerial class, what have you. Point number 31, Albert Pike, who has a statue in Washington, D.C. by Lincoln Memorial, who was a Confederate general. Point number 32, early colonial cults. 33, forcible rape. 34, rape by deception. 35, porn. 36, Hollywood evils. 37, cover-ups and fragility. 38, corporate greed. 39, corporate sexual harassment. 40, Epstein, Cosby, Weinstein, Keith Raniere, and Allison Mack, and other rapists and cults and what have you. Let's stop here for a second. I have like 140 points or so. Okay? We're only at point 40 right now. And these points are huge, right? Forcible rape is a huge problem. Rape by deception, organized rape by dissent. The word racist is like the word rapist for a reason. The way they do things, the way they control cultures and cancel cultures creates a certain rape by deception construct where people have sex with people because of the lies they're told, these organized lies and propaganda lies they're told. As they have countless people scrambling around the clock to control the moods, sentiments, and behaviors with an emphasis on sexual behaviors of people for eugenics, for sexual control, for reproductive control. There's no other way to look at it. You know, when I first came across my research, it was obvious. And the overwhelming amount of research and evidence that I've done and come across makes it crystal clear even more. Point number 41. Satanic rock and roll genres. Right, look at all the rock genres. Punk rock, there's heavy metal, okay. There's the freak Marilyn Manson music, goth rock, whatever the hell that is, and on and on and on. Okay, and these people clearly worship the devil. They talk about they built this city on rock and roll, and military people often say rock and roll when they're about to go to war. And we see that when we look up what that term means, it refers to a kind of satanic state one gets into when they're channeling the devil. And that's why they throw those rock and roll satanic salutes, which are the simplest explanation for what they are the bull horns. Okay, you can also look at it as goat and ram horns, but it's the bull horns, right? The devil is the bull, the devil is the goat. Okay, so it's a satanic salute, right? A horny devil, right? Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. There's other things. They say the cornus salute. They say other things as well, but the simplest answer is it's the bull horns of the devil. And so when you have Sin City, Baltimore, Murdermore, Los Angeles, Los Scandalous, okay, St. Louis, St. Luke, Chirac, okay, when you have all these very dangerous and satanic and evil cities and these satanic conservative cults in small towns, it is open and shut that it is insane to get violent and crazy and demand that people respect the flag. That is crazy. You want people to respect organized rape by deception, all the child molestation that your country refuses to address because they're deliberately maintaining a satanic atmosphere? When they named Sin City, you think they had plans to change it and call it a holy city or something? No. Social engineering, look it up. Urban planning, look it up. Gentrification, gerrymandering. These are ways and ideas that have to do with making it so things are the way they are and things are changing into a more satanic and more integrated satanic version of the way they are. 42. Creating street gangs or the circumstances to create them while playing stupid about it. 43. Racist sabotage for white, Jewish, and LGBT image claims. 44. Prison abuses, setting inmates up to die or be raped. Okay. And we'll just say 45. Playing stupid about it, though everyone knows that that's what goes down, right? The correction officers and their corruption, it's very notorious here in America, very notorious, especially here in California. Look up the Code of Silence documentary. The one about the California Department of Corrections and this gentleman that committed suicide and their Code of Silence, what have you. Okay, so in case you forgot, these things are things that I associate with the American flag, and many people agree. These are things that they know that you associate with it. So when they say respect the flag, what they're really saying is respect the evil that dominates the flag. Okay, that 80% of the right wing sees America and the American flag as just them, right? They see it as just as, that fraction of the right wing. And the rich see as America as their plaything. And so to them, it's respect satanic conservatives who are clearly evil. And to the governing class, it's respect evil governing class control. They did a study and they said 1 in 5 CEOs are psychopaths. Okay, look it up. Real study. That means they're all crazy, right? A lot of them are narcissists, sociopaths. It's not just 1 in 5 that have a problem. They have that specific problem. Okay? So they want you to respect psychopaths and narcissists and sociopaths and the spirits and cultures that they allow while they screen out and kill people like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and so on and so forth. Okay. 46. The political abuse of power, especially psychiatry. 47. The devil saying the mind is a place of its own. 48. horny devil bumper stickers and shirts. 49, Hooters. And this represents that immorality, that childishness. Right? People are supposed to grow up and be mature and moral and virtuous. Ver in virtue means man. They're not supposed to be Hooters promoting perverts and strip club dogs and sex workers supporting villains and so on and so forth. Horny devil bumper stickers, having, ruffians, gang rape people and various, the frats in the military at times. And so it's fucking sick. Alcoholism. Point number 50, alcoholism. 51, media lies. 52, frat rapes. 53, smirking, sarcastic nerds with bad intentions. 54, arrogant people with hypocritical and weak criticisms and bad judgments. 55, security guards staring at you unnecessarily and unfairly. And people that work in and own stores that stare at you unnecessarily and unfairly. 56, a refusal to make the country moral and romantically just. 57, hostility. Speaking of that, my throat is burning right now from me being fumed by people who are refusing to give me my freedom of speech. Are you for a bunch of racists beating people up, saying respect the flag and denying them their constitutional rights? Okay, when the Constitution is supposed to be the highest human law of the land, where obviously God's law is higher, but these people aren't living by God's law. And certainly in some places, at least, the Constitution doesn't contradict God's law. The part where the Supreme Court, which has always been satanic, is supposed to interpret it, obviously contradicts God's law. So again, hostility has the word host in it, and that's an English word, right? America's part of the Anglosphere, the English-speaking nations that were colonized by England. Hostility and host. I mean, what more do you need to know, right? Hello has the word hell, and help has the word hell in it, with one L. What do you call that? That's sick. 58, insincerity and blaming the victim in its true form. 59, toxicity. 60, immaturity. 61, courtiness. 62, shallowness. 63, hypocrisy. 64, wickedness. 65, parents stay away from their daughters unfairly. 66, hazing. 67, military rape. 68, control freaks. 69, obnoxious people that fixate. 70, weirdos and creeps. 71, evil hate. 72, territorial scum. 73, poisons in the air, environment, and food. It looks like I put 73 twice. So preachers saying that everyone is born a sinner, but Jesus? Okay. I'll have to go over that one again in case they edit that one out or something, because I don't think it's a coincidence that that's the second 73. 74, playing stupid about the obvious and deep lessons in the Bible. 75, mere human rules, customs, and traditions. 76, hackers and code crackers. 77, narcissists. 78, psychopaths. 79, sociopaths. 80, spoiled brats. 81, schools that torture people instead of teaching them effectively for sadists and other rich spoiled brats in social clubs, etc. Okay, and which goes back to the structure of the school and learning unnecessary stuff and it being unnecessarily long and unnecessarily miserable, what have you. 82, sadists. 83, idiots. 84, attempts to dumb people down. 85, traffic jams. 86, frustration. 87, rigged lifestyle comparison games, aka contrast games. They sabotage everyone and say, hey, compare your culture to the white man's culture now. 88, unreasonable attractive females. 89, unattractive females plotting to get you to settle. 90, gossip. 91, dishonest scales. 92, the deliberate creation of awkward moments. 93, fools smiling as if they are winning in life when they are a worm-like twit. 94, injustice. 95, massive economic disparity. 96, a broken healthcare system. 97, wicked group efforts, right? Controlled opposition, wicked group efforts, all the wicked groups out there. Basically every group out there is wicked on a spectrum. Some are closer to right, that's for sure. 98, complicity. 99, inaction when action is needed, right? Why don't people get together and insist on my war on poverty plan, for example? Or my global farm program plan when there's 9 million people starving to death every year? We could easily end world hunger. They refuse to. Okay? The wealthy in this country alone, or the top 50% rather, have $162 trillion in wealth. Okay, while 9 million people starve to death every year in the world, 3 million children, that's like 10,000 children every single day. There's no excuse for it. 100, cruelty. 101, senseless behavior. 102, excessive chaos. 103, favoritism. 104, nepotism. 105, depravity. 106, scatterbrained people trying to bring other people down so they feel better about themselves. 106, people pretending everyone is mentally ill and that's all there is to it, instead of dealing with the issues that cause people to behave the way they're behaving. 107, people who think psychology instead of dealing with problems is the answer. 108, disassociation. 109, covert white supremacy. 110, sexual harassment. 111, sexually provocative and sexually suggestive dress to feed into the white, Jewish, and LGBT supremacy rape spirit. Okay, it's a spirit of rape, right? They're trying to encourage people to want to rape, and they want to create a kind of good old boy club, which they have to some degree, where they cover up for each other's rapes. And you see that with the right-left paradigm, with Republicans swearing that every guy who's accused of rape is innocent, so to speak, a certain faction of Republicans, and Democrats swearing that every female who accuses someone of rape is telling the truth. Okay? Rape is a huge problem. People lying about rape is a big problem. Okay? But it's stupid to feed into the spirit of rape, to help create the circumstances where there's going to be a higher rate of rape just because you want to dress like a slut. That is fucking retarded. 112, silent complicity. 113, that's why it's called sexually provocative, right? They're provoking something, right? Sexually suggestive, right? Like a strip tease, right? What happens when you tease a society where like over half the guys are rapists or something, okay, or whatever the number is, it's up there somewhere because, you know, so many females get raped and they get raped by different guys at different times quite often. Okay. So 112, silent complicity. 113, ritual madness. 114, theater arts. 115, recklessness. I guess I put 115 twice as well. Organized stalkers responding to someone with morality, someone with a soul with a mix between sad looks, evil looks, and confused looks. That's also what we associate with the flag. These people stalk people together. Some look sad, you know. Some of them look at you with an evil look, right? Like more clearly evil look, and some look at you like confused, like they don't know what to do with themselves and they're following the crowd. 116, childish bullshit excuses when it comes to the most serious issues. 117, trickle-down greed. 118, they are fanatically unreasonable, right? That's part of what the flag symbolizes. You should know why by now from this video alone and for nothing else. 119, pettiness. 120, subdued, attractive females who are slaves to sin, who date with a broken scale. 121, a lack of humanity. 122, scum who say, we like it this way. 123, the government is not humane and compassionate. The people won't get together as controlled opposition. So when we see the flag, we say, hey, you know, the government is just fucking unreasonable. And you're saying, respect our flag. And the people are too indifferent, right? They're apathetic, alpha pathetic. Who they follow is pathetic. Their so-called alpha is pathetic. The true alpha me, I'm not pathetic. I'm facing them 10 toes down, trying to get people to rally to me. Huge difference. Huge difference. 124, bullshitters bullshitting. 125, not building, you know, a society that won't build affordable housing. Okay, they won't build millions of units of affordable housing when they can easily afford it. Easily, we could bid for $2 trillion, which is just $2 trillion of the $162 trillion that the rich have, for example. Okay, we could build so many affordable housing units. For every $100 billion, we could build, for every $100 billion, we could build 1 million apartment units. So that's 10 million for $1 trillion. That's 20 million apartment units we could build for $2 trillion. 20 million affordable housing units. We could build much more if we build a lot of tiny homes, because we could build tiny homes on average, with land purchases included, for $30,000 a unit instead of $100,000 a unit for the apartment units. And pretty nice apartment units at that when you consider how much it costs to build all over this country. And a lot of places it's very cheap to build. Okay, so point number 126, not getting rid of homelessness in ghettos by building units. Point 127, turning your people or group against you when you're doing the right thing. Point number 128, it represents their spirit, which includes their activities, which causes people with humanity intact to clash with them. Now, I have more points written down, but they're on my phone, so I'm going to go ahead and put them in the comments. This video is a long video, and I'm going to put a partial list in the description. I might work on the list and add to it over time. Please subscribe, and please share this video. Okay? Look at all these horrible things that the flag symbolizes, why they're saying respect our flag. Respect is earned. I'm not saying that they necessarily need to change the flag and how it looks. But they need to change their activities, because the flag represents their current spirit first and foremost. And it connects to their historical injustices which that they've caused, which they refuse to change.